President's Anthem. It's an honor to stand before this distinguished gathering of business leaders, diplomats, policymakers, and professionals committed to strengthening the economic landscape through the advancement of women. I thank the Franco Nigerian Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the invitation and for their continued work in fostering economic collaboration between Nigeria and France. As I delve into the theme, Accelerate Action for Sustainability, I will be using advancing women's leadership in business and economic growth as the foundation for driving organizational sustainability. I recognize the leadership of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, whose administration is consistently emphasizing the need for economic diversification and inclusive growth. Under his leadership, we see renewed efforts to support entrepreneurship, increase access to finance, and create an enabling business environment. Women's economic contributions are often undervalued, yet we play a central role in shaping industries, policies, and communities. I have had the privilege of experiencing this from multiple perspectives as an engineer, as an entrepreneur, and now as a politician. I started my career as a civil engineer, a field where women were few and often had to prove themselves repeatedly to be taken seriously. That experience shaped my approach to leadership, understanding that competence alone is not always enough. Women must also navigate biases, structural limitations, and societal expectations. From engineering, I transitioned into entrepreneurship, co-founding and managing businesses in the real estate and construction sector. This shift brought new lessons about access to finance, regulatory hurdles, and the importance of networks in business success. I quickly learned that women in business often face unique challenges that go beyond just running a company. Many are balancing household responsibilities, facing limited access to capital, or being excluded from the kinds of networks that drive major business deals. Now, as Deputy Governor of Ogun State, I have the privilege of influencing policies that create opportunities for women in business. I recognize that while individual success stories like mine exist, systemic barriers still hold many women back. And that is why we must keep pushing through policy, advocacy, and collective action to ensure that more women have access to economic opportunities, leadership roles, and financial independence. Today, I want to address 6 critical areas that affect women's participation in business and economic leadership. Access to finance for women entrepreneurs, the cost of unpaid care work on women's economic capacity, expanding business networks and market access, equal pay for equal work and workplace protections, gender-based violence and its impact on women's economic freedom, and opportunities in business leadership development and emerging sectors. Finance. One of the biggest hurdles women face in business is access to finance. Women-led enterprises often struggle to secure loans, grants, and investment capital due to gender biases and lack of collateral. Studies show that even though women demonstrate strong credit worthiness, they're still less likely than men to receive business loans. While women own about 40% of Nigeria's micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, they receive only a fraction of available business financing. Many financial institutions still require collateral, often land and property, which women are less likely to own due to historical inequalities in property ownership. In Iceland, where gender equity in business is a priority, government-backed loan guarantees for women entrepreneurs have helped bridge the financing gap. By implementing policies that remove financial barriers, they have increased female business ownership and created a thriving environment for women-led enterprises. Nigeria can learn from this by expanding funding programs through organizations like the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDA, and the Ogun State Agriculture and Multi-Purpose Credit Agency, or SAMCA, which provide financial support for MSMEs. In Ogun State, we are fortunate to have a government that prioritizes business growth and economic development. Under the leadership of His Excellency Prince Dako Abiodun CON, we have seen deliberate efforts to expand opportunities for MSMEs, strengthen public-private partnerships, and attract investments that empower women in business. We work to increase funding for female entrepreneurs by providing grants and low-interest loans through targeted programs. For instance, we hold regular MSME clinics across the state where entrepreneurs and budding business owners take advantage of the opportunity to register their businesses properly, improve financial literacy, and how to keep accurate financial records. I'm pleased to inform you that majority of the participants have been women across a wide range of sectors. Unpaid care work. Many women find it difficult to pursue business or employment because of the disproportionate burden of unpaid care work. Raising children, taking care of elderly family members, and managing household responsibilities. According to the United Nations, women globally perform 3 times more unpaid care work than men. This burden limits their ability to engage in full-time employment or grow their businesses. They're often forced into low-paying, flexible jobs that accommodate caregiving rather than pursuing careers with long-term growth potential. This burden also limits women's ability to engage in income-generating activities, advance their careers, or scale their businesses, and it contributes to what is called time poverty, where women are left with fewer hours to invest in their economic growth. Addressing this requires expanding affordable childcare options so that women can work and run businesses without worry, family-friendly workplace policies such as flexible working arrangements, paid parental leave, and support for work-life balance, encouraging men to share caregiving responsibilities, breaking the cultural norm that caregiving is solely a woman's role. Ladies and gentlemen, unpaid care work is not just a woman's issue, it is an economic issue. When women have time to participate fully in the workforce, productivity increases, household incomes rise, and entire communities benefit. Business networks. Beyond funding, access to business networks and markets is essential for success. One of the biggest lessons I learned as an entrepreneur was that opportunities often come from who you know as much as what you know. Organizations like the Franco Nigerian Chamber of Commerce and Industry provide women with opportunities to engage in bilateral trade, networking, and business growth. Women must take full advantage of these platforms by one, building cross-border trade relationships such as between Nigeria and France, exploring export opportunities in sectors such as agriculture, textiles, and technology, and embracing digital business models to reach international markets. Our governments also have a role to play in creating an enabling environment by reducing bureaucratic hurdles for women-owned businesses, strengthening women-focused trade associations, and promoting gender-inclusive policies in trade agreements. Wage gap. Pay inequality remains one of the most persistent barriers to true economic empowerment for women, particularly in the private sector. Despite having the same qualifications, experience, and output as their male counterparts, many women continue to earn less, undermining not just individual progress, but also broader economic growth. This is not just about fairness, it is about economic justice. Women's contributions fuel businesses, strengthen industries, and drive innovation. Yet, the financial recognition of their labor often falls short. A woman should not have to negotiate harder, work longer, or prove herself more just to receive the same compensation as a man. Fair pay should not be an aspiration, it should be the standard. To close this gap, we must push for salary transparency in organizations to expose and address wage disparities. Strong legal frameworks that mandate equal pay for equal work across all sectors. And strict penalties and enforcement measures to hold companies accountable for wage discrimination. Ensuring equal pay is not just about compliance. It is about creating an economy where talent, hard work, and competence are rewarded fairly, regardless of gender. When we close the pay gap, we unlock economic potential, strengthen households, and build a more just and prosperous society. Gender based violence. Gender based violence is not just a social issue, it is a direct threat to women's economic freedom and national development. The fear of harassment, assault, and discrimination forces many women to limit their career choices, abandon entrepreneurial ambitions, or remain in unsafe work environments simply because they have no better options. When a woman hesitates to take a job because she fears unsafe working conditions, or where an entrepreneur is unable to expand her business because she cannot move freely without risk, we all pay the price. No economy can reach its full potential when half of its workforce must navigate danger just to participate. To address this, we must enforce stricter workplace protections to prevent harassment and discrimination, enhance security in public places and transportation so that women can move freely and safely, expand funding for GBV support services, ensuring survivors have access to legal aid, healthcare, and economic reintegration programs. Women cannot be expected to build businesses, pursue leadership, or contribute meaningfully to national growth if their safety is compromised at every turn. A thriving economy is one where all individuals, regardless of gender, can work, innovate, and succeed without fear. Business leadership development. Women must be part of decision making at all levels, from MSMEs to boardrooms, from rural cooperatives to multinational corporations. Iceland offers a strong example of how policy driven gender inclusion leads to economic success. By ensuring that at least 40% of corporate board seats are held by women, Iceland has seen stronger governance, higher productivity, and more inclusive policies. One of the most effective ways to foster economic development and entrepreneurship is through strategic international collaborations. A good example of this is the Orange Corners Nigeria Incubation Program, an initiative of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, which provides young entrepreneurs with training, mentorship, and access to funding, equipping them with the tools to build sustainable businesses. The success of this program highlights the power of bilateral partnerships in addressing economic challenges. Through the cohort held in Ogun State, our youth have benefited from knowledge transfer, capacity building, and financial support, while the Netherlands is strengthening its ties with our expanding economy, fostering shared prosperity. By supporting similar initiatives, specifically for women, governments, international partners, and private sector stakeholders can come together to create lasting impact by accelerating the growth of women led businesses, scaling MSMEs into larger enterprises, and creating a thriving business ecosystem that not only uplifts individual entrepreneurs but also strengthens the economy at large. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we stand at a defining moment in history, one where women are no longer asking for a seat at the table, but are actually building the tables, leading the discussions, and driving economic transformation. When women succeed in business, when we rise to leadership in boardrooms, and we shape policies that create opportunities for all, entire economies grow, families prosper, and societies become stronger. But progress does not happen in isolation. It requires deliberate action, bold decisions, and a collective commitment to breaking barriers and rewriting the rules of engagement. So I leave you all with this challenge. If you're a business leader, champion policies that support and promote women in leadership. If you're an entrepreneur, build fearlessly, collaborate strategically, and claim the opportunities available to you. If you're a policymaker, push for reforms that ensure equal pay, access to finance, and workplace protection. And for all of us here, let us mentor, invest in, and uplift the next generation of women leaders so that the path forward is clearer and stronger than the one we walked. With the commitment of leaders like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Governor Dakwa Abiodun, we have a unique opportunity to reshape our economic landscape. But it will take all of us, business leaders, policymakers, and entrepreneurs, to turn policies into progress. If we can each play our part, the future of business will be inclusive, innovative, and led by women who are ready to take their rightful place. Let us lead, let us transform, let us own the future. Thank you for your attention.